Someone in your life right now is carrying something heavy. They have not told you yet, but they are about to show you the most powerful proof of love you will ever witness. And if you miss it, you may never get the chance to receive it again. Hit subscribe and drop a comment right now telling me what love looks like to you. Because what I am about to share will change the way you see every relationship in your life. Here is what nobody tells you about love. The loudest version of love is rarely the truest one. The grand gestures, the expensive gifts, the dramatic declarations, they are often the easiest things to give. But there is a kind of love that operates in complete silence. A kind that most people walk past every single day without ever recognizing it. And the person who is about to offer you this love, they are not going to announce it. They are not going to ask for credit. They are not even going to make sure you noticed. That is exactly what makes it so powerful. Let me explain what is actually happening psychologically when someone chooses to love you this way. In psychology, we talk about something called secure attachment. It is the ability to remain emotionally present with another person, even when it costs you something. Most people are conditionally present. They show up when it is easy, when it is convenient, when the energy flows back to them. But a small number of people in this world have developed the emotional capacity to stay. Not because they have nothing else to do. Not because they do not feel tired or overwhelmed. But because something in them has decided that your well-being matters more than their comfort in that moment. That decision, that quiet, invisible, uncelebrated decision, is the most powerful proof of love that exists. Now let me tell you exactly how to recognize it when it is happening. The first sign is this: they stay when the conversation gets heavy. Think about the last time you opened up about something real. Not the surface level stuff. The deep stuff. The fear that something is wrong with you. The grief you have been carrying for years. The shame that you have never said out loud to anyone. Most people deflect. They change the subject. They say something positive and move on because they are not equipped, and honestly, they are not willing to sit in that darkness with you. But the person who loves you at this level, they lean in. They do not rush to fix it. They do not minimize it. They do not look uncomfortable and start reaching for their phone. They just stay. They breathe with you in the middle of the heaviest thing you have ever tried to put into words. That staying in psychology is called co-regulation. And it is one of the most profound acts one nervous system can offer another. When someone remains calm and present while you are falling apart, their nervous system is literally helping to regulate yours. They are not just emotionally present. They are biologically changing your stress response. That is not something a person does by accident. That is love operating at a neurological level. The second sign is this: they protect your dignity when you cannot protect it yourself. There will be moments in your life when you are not your best self. When you snap, when you shut down, when you say something you do not mean because something inside you is broken and spilling out in the wrong direction. Most people remember those moments and use them against you later. They bring them back up. They hold them as evidence of who you really are. But this person, the one who truly loves you, they do not file that moment away as a weapon. They say it for what it is. A person in pain trying to survive with the tools they have right now. They extend what researchers call benign attribution. They assume the best about your intentions, even when your behavior is not reflecting it. And they protect that version of you, the better version, even when the current version is hard to be around. That takes enormous psychological maturity. And it is something you cannot fake. You either genuinely care about someone's dignity or you do not. The third sign, and this one is going to hit differently. They bring you into their fear. We live in a world where strength has been redefined as the absence of vulnerability. People perform invincibility because they believe that showing you their fear will make you live. So when someone lets you see the parts of themselves they are most ashamed of, the anxiety they cannot control, the grief they have not been able to process, the childhood wound they are still bleeding from, they are not being weak. They are handing you something sacred. They are saying, I trust you with the part of me I have never trusted anyone with. In spiritual traditions across the world, this kind of radical transparency is considered one of the highest acts of love. Because it requires not just trust, it requires the willingness to be completely wrong about someone. To hand someone your most fragile self and believe they will not destroy it. If someone in your life has ever done this with you, please understand what that actually was. That was not just a vulnerable moment. That was a declaration. That was them saying, I have chosen you. Not the version of you that performs perfectly. Not the version of you that always says the right thing. The actual you. And that brings me to the deepest layer of all of this. The most powerful proof of love is not what someone does when loving you is easy. It is what they do when loving you costs them something. Think about it. Anyone can love you when you are healed, when you are clear, when you are at your best. That is not love. That is just comfort. Real love shows up when you are in the middle of your most confusing season. When you are contradicting yourself. When you are not sure who you are becoming. When you are grieving something that does not even have a name yet. The person who chooses to stay present in that season, without a timeline, without conditions, without making you feel like a burden for being human, that person is not just loving you. They are healing something in you that was broken long before they arrived. This is what depth psychology calls a corrective emotional experience. When someone treats you with a kind of care that contradicts what you learn to expect from people, your nervous system slowly begins to revise its prediction of the world. You begin to believe, maybe for the first time, that you do not have to earn your place in someone's life. That you are allowed to take up space. That being fully yourself is not something that will get you abandoned. That is not therapy. That is not a miracle. That is one human being refusing to confirm your worst fear about yourself. And choosing, again and again, in small invisible moments, to show you something different. Now here is what I need you to sit with. Because this is the part most people miss. While you have been listening to this, someone came to mind. Maybe it was one person. Maybe it was a face you keep coming back to without fully understanding why. And I want you to ask yourself a very direct question. Have you been receiving this love and calling it ordinary? Because the most painful thing I see, both in psychology and in the spiritual dimension of human connection, is the person who is surrounded by real love, but is so conditioned to expect pain that they cannot recognize it when it is standing right in front of them. They are waiting for the catch. They are waiting for the withdrawal. They are holding their breath, expecting the person to leave, because every important person before them eventually did. So they hold the love at arm's length. They do not fully receive it. They do not let it land. And the tragedy is not that love was absent from their life. The tragedy is that love was present, and they were too afraid of losing it to actually live inside of it. If this is you, and I say this with complete compassion, you are not broken. You are conditioned, and conditioning can be unlearned. But it starts with a choice you make right now. The choice to look at the person who keeps showing up, who keeps staying, who keeps handing you their honest self, and to say, I see you. Not just the version of you that is easy to love. The version of you that chose me when it cost you something. The version of you that stayed when leaving would have been simpler. The version of you that believed I was worth showing up for even when I was giving you every reason to walk away. That is love at its most powerful. And it is not found in the extraordinary moments. It is woven into the ordinary ones. The quiet check-in at the end of a hard day. The willingness to have the difficult conversation instead of keeping the peace. The moment they chose honesty over your comfort because they respected you enough to tell you the truth. The times they showed up tired, imperfect, scared, and still showed up. Love is not a single act. Love is the accumulation of 10,000 small decisions that say, I am choosing you, again, today, even now. And if someone in your life is making those decisions for you, please do not let it pass without acknowledgement. Tell them you see it. Tell them it matters. Because the saddest kind of loneliness is not the loneliness of being alone. It is the loneliness of loving someone and wondering if they even know it. Go make sure they know. Drop a comment below and tell me, who is the person in your life who loves you in a quiet way? If this reached something real in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And subscribe, because every week on this channel we go deeper into the psychology and spirituality of being fully human. I will see you in the next one.